What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Saturday to all of you and welcome to the Saturday Chat and Chill. In this week's installment, we are going to be discussing a topic that, of course, we're going to be talking about. Yeah, it's the Street Fighter V collaboration. However, I wanted to go ahead and talk about a topic that I haven't really touched on yet, and that is, of course, going to be just how important the Street Fighter V collaboration is to the future of the King of Fighters All-Star, and why I feel like this is something that Netmarble cannot afford to screw up. But before we go ahead and get into this week's topic, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And without further ado, cue the intro. Alright, you guys, so in this week's installment, I am going to be talking about all things Street Fighter V, so if you are not caught up on all of the news that we know thus far about the Street Fighter V collaboration, make sure you check out the recap video I made earlier this week. Link will be in the description, and that'll catch you up to speed. But why I want to talk about the Street Fighter V collaboration in today's video is because I want to talk about a topic that I haven't really touched on yet, and that is just how important it is that Netmarble hit the landing with this and not mess this up. When it comes to Street Fighter V, I don't think you guys need me to explain this to you, but Street Fighter V has been the #1 requested collaboration in the history of this game, all over every resource that you could possibly imagine, whether it be the official forums, Discord, Reddit, so on and so forth. Any social media for this game, you will have inevitably noticed if you've been around here long enough, plenty of people requesting that this be a collaboration, and lo and behold, March 24th, we will finally be getting it, and I know a lot of people out there are super excited. However, I am actually a little bit reticent and a little bit concerned, and I want to talk about why I have some of these concerns in today's video. Now, of course, with the past two collaborations, Dead or Alive 6 and Guilty Gear, I do feel like Netmarble has hit their stride with their collaboration rollouts. Those two collaborations, outside of some kind of bugs and a few issues here and there that are liable to happen with any major update, have, for the most part, been extremely good and well received. And I do hope and I do pray that that is going to be the case with the Street Fighter V collaboration, because there are a lot of big things that Netmarble could really win out of this if they end up hitting the landing and this ends up being as good as it possibly could be. Now, of course, going into the collaboration for Street Fighter V, there is already going to be a slight amount of controversy. There are a lot of people out there that are really upset that we're getting a second version of Chun-Li instead of an actual unique character on the roster. There are people out there that aren't necessarily excited as much about some of the characters that were chosen, such as Luke. However, I'm in a position right now where I'm willing to take the wait-and-see approach to that. There's still a lot we do not know. Kind of like I had mentioned in that recap video, we don't even know if Vega is going to be included in this collaboration over an M. Bison yet, one way or the other, even though we do have plenty of evidence that could point to either, and at this point we're leaning to M. Bison being the 6th character. However, there is still a lot of unknowns with this, so I don't necessarily want to get too much into that. However, I do agree with people that a second version of Chun-Li, anytime they do these kind of second editions of these characters or they do duplicates of these characters, it does tend to kind of leave a bit of a sour taste in the mouths of people who actually love these IPs, because they would appreciate seeing other unique characters in there instead. However, I also get, from a marketing standpoint, wanting to have a free version of Chun-Li in there that people can more than likely pick up just for logging in for the first time, because they are expecting so many new players. And speaking of new players, that is one of the big topics I want to talk about. And ever since the Street Fighter V collaboration was announced, I have noticed a major influx of new players, not only here on my channel, but also over on the Reddit, the Discord, and the like, and that is by design. Netmarble knew going into this is probably why they went ahead and gave us a full month plus of time to go ahead and prepare for this collaboration, because they wanted to go ahead and get the hype started, they wanted to go ahead and get people excited, and they wanted to bring in those new players. Now, those new players have been seemingly enjoying the game, and I've noticed that there have been a lot of new faces in the comment section, which, hi guys, how are you? But when it comes to that, Netmarble has to make sure that they give those players what they want, and they need to make sure that they appreciate those players with this collaboration. Now, in the past, Netmarble has been guilty of rolling out collaborations that, while, yes, they are extremely friendly from a power creep standpoint, as far as if you get the characters, if you build the characters, then you pretty much can clear most anything. The one thing that Netmarble can sometimes do is get a little bit greedy with the way that they do things. Sometimes they'll roll out these collaborations and they won't be as generous with some of the freebies for those players. Usually it's more veteran or even, I would say, intermediate friendly than it would be beginner friendly sometimes. And even though, like I said, the past couple of collaborations I don't feel like have been that way, there is a history of that here and there. And I do hope that Netmarble doesn't do that this time and really does actually err more on the side of including those new players and kind of appreciating those new players with this content, because those players, a lot of them are going to be here to play as their favorite Street Fighter characters, and I'm really hoping that they don't make it to where all of these characters are going to be limited banner characters, and meaning that they're all SS or BS. I hope that there is a healthy mix so that way these players can pick some of these characters up and start building them right off the bat, so that way they can start enjoying these characters. Because one of the big things about collaborations, and one of the main focuses from a marketing standpoint, should always be trying to retain and garner new players. And that is something that a Street Fighter V collaboration was always going to do if it ever became a reality. Just the idea of seeing SNK and Capcom collaborating with a fighting game IP such as this, especially being that it is Street Fighter and the King of Fighters, this is a big deal. However, it all comes down to implementation. If the implementation isn't good, then a lot of those players who don't have that love for the King of Fighters or that love for this game yet are more liable to just walk away or uninstall the game if they aren't feeling like they are getting what they want. And that is something that I do feel like Netmarble really needs to work on and really needs to make sure that they take a big focus on when it comes to this collaboration. Now, another thing that I really do want to kind of touch on here is something we just talked about, which is, of course, the character roster. Now, when it comes to the character roster, my opinion on this is there are so many characters in Street Fighter that are iconic. There's so many characters from Street Fighter that people love that there's always going to be hurt feelings. There's always going to be characters left out. I mean, just look at me. I'm a big Cammy fan. Cammy doesn't seem like she's going to be there. Yes, I'm a bit disappointed by that, but in my heart of hearts, I always knew that there was a chance that that wasn't going to happen. And at the end of the day, I at least have characters such as Akuma and Chun-Li and Ryu that I can fall back on that are characters that I love as well. So there's a lot of stuff there I feel like that I am going to really enjoy, but I can definitely feel for people out there that aren't necessarily excited for the particular roster of characters that they chose. You know, you could sit here and nitpick that all day, and we don't know really the parameters of how these characters are chosen. We don't necessarily know how much of a hand the actual IP holder has in choosing or picking which characters are going to be used. You know, we've heard in the past, such as with the Dead or Alive 6 collaboration, just how much hands-on experience that the devs for the King of Fighters All-Star had with the Koei Tecmo team, and how the Koei Tecmo team was kind of control freaks with what they wanted. So I would assume that while Capcom might be a little bit more hands-off over the actual implementation of this stuff, I could definitely see them being a lot more hands-on when it comes to how their characters were presented and which characters were chosen. Just take a look at a character such as Luke. There's a huge bend right now over at Capcom to push this character, and I do feel like it was probably a prerequisite if Netmarble wanted to use Street Fighter V for collaboration that Luke be involved from Capcom. It just seems like a Capcom thing to do. Now, when it comes to anything else with this collaboration, I do feel like there have been varying degrees of success in the past with collaborations as far as freebies like tickets or tokens or whatever the case may be, you know, limited time rubies here and there, whatever the case may be. Whatever it is that they want to do as far as giving out free stuff for the launch of this, I really do hope that Netmarble does more of that with this collaboration, because again, when you have that many new players coming into a game, it would behoove you to try and sway them to the game full time, and that way it isn't one of those things where they're just going to play around during the collaboration itself and uninstall the game. It would make more sense to try and woo them over and keep them long term, especially considering the fact that I do believe that the contract extension for the King of Fighters All-Star, SNK, and of course when it comes to Netmarble, I do feel like that contract is probably going to be at its end at the end of this year, so they'll need another renewal. That's probably going to be the case, although I don't have confirmation on that. So, you know, I do feel like kind of revenue is a big deal this year, especially. It's always important for any company, but I feel like in particular for this game this year, it's probably going to be pretty important. So that's probably going to be boding well for the players on the short term. We'll probably end up seeing a lot of really cool stuff this year, like the Street Fighter V collaboration, but it all comes down to how you implement it. And I do feel like that is very important when it comes to the longevity of this game in general. Now, at the end of the day, when it comes to the Street Fighter V collaboration, there is a lot that can be said about it. You know, we still do not know what we're going to be getting when it comes to any of the events that are coming out with this, outside of some of the data mines that are still data mines, so therefore completely unconfirmed, but still being the fact that they exist in the data, we can pretty much infer from that what we will. But at the end of the day, when it comes to this stuff, I do feel like Netmarble knows just how important this is for the longevity and the future of the game, considering the fact we've never seen them tease a collaboration this far ahead, nor have we seen them tease a collaboration in actual in-game story content like they did with this Rush Dungeon Out of Bounds, with the Akuma cameo at the end of it for the final chapter. That is a great way to build up hype, and that is not something we've seen them do before. And we do know that they probably have some pre-events planned, so all of this stuff is stuff that we don't necessarily always see with every collaboration, nor do we see this much of a build-up. So I'm hoping that Netmarble continues to capitalize on the momentum that they've gotten from this. You know, if they need to start releasing character trailers, they need to start releasing little tidbits here and there, they need to start getting the fans engaged and getting the word out. You know, the nice thing about momentum is, yes, it does help you, but at the same time, you do have to do something to keep it going if you want it to continue. So I do feel like it's about time for them to release a little bit more information for us on this, just so that way they can kind of keep that going. But at the same time, I do feel like Netmarble understands just how important this is, just based on the way that they are acting right now and have been for the past couple of weeks. And I'm really, really hoping that they stick the landing with this, because if they do, and if they can, then this could be the most important update for this game ever. So anyway, you guys, that is just my opinion on this stuff. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest, because I have, as much as I've been hype about this collaboration, been a little bit worried about a few things, and I really hope that Netmarble really does do their part and deliver to us an amazing collaboration, not just for the King of Fighters All-Star base and fans, but just for the Capcom fans and the Street Fighter fans as well that are getting into the game. I want them to be able to play around with this stuff and feel included with this stuff and be able to have fun, because the King of Fighters All-Star is an amazing game. It is a great amount of fun, and I do hope that people enjoy it that are just getting into it and will be able to stick around based on how Netmarble implements things. So, fingers crossed. But anyway, you guys, that is going to be today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe. I am playing around with the format of the Saturday Chat and Chill this week, so you guys can let me know what you think in the comments section. But with all that being said, like I said in yesterday's video, go see The Batman this weekend. I'm going this evening. You guys will probably see a review on that from me early on next week. But until then, you all enjoy your weekends, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.
Continues.